Hi. The topic of Sledgehammer mishandling the DLC weapons has been pretty big recently since the new wave, people not liking how weapons are earned. I think I have something to add to the topic because, despite how unpopular it clearly is, I disagree. I don't think it's all that bad, and I'd like to share some numbers and reasoning for that, so I'd love for you to hear me out before telling me why you may disagree with what I'm saying. Now, I don't think the DLC weapon system is perfect by any means, and I will make some suggestions towards the end, but it's just not nearly as bad as some people make it out to be. There is room for differing opinions, but some things people are saying are just plain wrong. For a few initial clarifications, I am in no way on the side of loot boxes in gaming. Obviously, it's pretty clear how they have a negative impact, gambling, manipulative, unfair, whatever. I don't need to get into it here. I think we can agree on that. I've never purchased COD points to get supply drops in any Call of Duty game. I don't know how to prove that to you, so you'll just have to take my word for it. All I can say is, why would I ever buy COD points? I don't find it tempting at all, and never have. The value isn't there for me. I don't need to join some grandiose boycott movement to not want to waste my money. I feel like I'm saying, guys, you have to trust me on this one. I have never punched myself in the teeth really hard, I swear. Also, I have no reason to be defending Sledgehammer or Call of Duty. In fact, I've been quite critical of them. If I see some bullshit happening, I won't pull any punches. It just so happens this time I think the bullshit is on the other side. It's important to give both criticism and praise. If you only ever critique, you'll be labeled as a hater, can't please this guy, he just wants to complain about something. And if you only ever praise, then you're a fanboy, your opinion doesn't matter, because you only ever give one side. Alright, I said I disagreed with this notion of weapons being too hard to earn. My reasoning for that is not because I got lucky in the slot machine and got the weapons, so therefore why is everyone complaining? I thought it was easy. No, not at all, that would be very dumb. Also, my reasoning is not because I play the game 12 hours a day, so it was easy for me to unlock them, therefore everyone should just play as much as I do. No, of course I don't play for 12 hours a day, I'm a full-time student with a part-time job who also makes these videos as a hobby. I have other things to be doing, but I understand that I still play this game much more than a normal, healthy individual. I definitely do not think people should have to play as much as I do to earn the new content. People have jobs, relationships, school, other hobbies, I get it. The new content should be achievable in a reasonable amount of time. The disagreement comes from the idea of what is reasonable. How much time should one have to play to directly earn all the new weapons? First of all, we need to clear up a huge misunderstanding. What I dislike most about the complaints going around is how many people are saying weapons are locked behind supply drops. The new weapons in this wave are locked behind a slot machine. That statement is completely provably false. It is just wrong. If it were true, I would hate that as well. Like in Black Ops 3, they kept adding new stuff, only in supply drops, no way to earn it directly, and that wasn't fun. I stopped paying attention after the first couple waves. They would say something about the new M16 and some weird disc-firing weapon, but I didn't care because there was no way to reliably earn them. That is weapons locked behind a slot machine, and that is not what we have in World War II. Every single weapon has been directly earnable through playing the game and spending armory credits, and I'll get to the debate over if it's too many, but just to make sure we clear that up, because I still see a lot of people who think that these 3 weapons here in the Blitzkrieg event area are the only 3 new ones that you can unlock, and the other 3 are locked in drops. That is not true. The other 3 can be found in the regular collections. That was a consumer-friendly thing that Sledgehammer did to not make all 6 of them limited time. You can take as long as you want for the other 3. So the new weapons are not locked behind luck. If you get lucky, the slot machine can accelerate the process by either giving you parts of the collections or a variant of the new weapon directly, but in no way do you need to rely on the luck. And by the way, you get plenty of free rolls every day by playing the game, doing the orders and the contracts. You can get your 8 to 10 drops in 2 to 2.5 hours, roughly. That just about equates to a minimum wage job if you're talking about the cost of buying the drops directly. That's a pretty good ratio. I don't see how that's set up to encourage buying them. It encourages playing the game. Now, I will say, I'm not a fan of the whole limited time thing. There are weapons that were directly unlockable in the past, through both collections and special orders, that are currently only available through the supply drops or through waiting for the weekly contract to be one that you're looking for. That is something I would change for people who just picked up the game or weren't able to play for a period of time. I think all the content should always be available. You can make it easier to unlock during the event and then harder afterwards. I'd be fine with that, but it should always be possible. It'd be great if you could select from a list of weapon orders to take on that never go away, even if they're much harder to complete. However, most Most of the complaining is actually about this new wave of weapons that is currently unlockable. That's where I disagree, people saying it's just too hard. Well, let's try to measure how hard it really is. I do need to use my account as a baseline. I currently have over 360,000 armory credits and approaching 900 supply drops, purely from playing the game. I have not spent a dime on COD points. The ones I have are from the pre-order and from the digital version. My playtime is a bit over 20 days, so to do some math with how many days there have been since launch, I've played an average of 2 hours and 45 minutes every day, or 19 hours a week. That's a little scary and a little sad. I've logged in every day, I've done just about every single worthwhile order and contract so far. I collect payroll 2 or 3 times a day, but I'm not setting timers or anything. I spend time in the HQ to be next to supply drops that get called in, and I only spend credits to, of course, buy contracts and finish out event collections. Otherwise, I save them up. Again, I agree that you shouldn't have to do anything near that level of insanity to unlock all the content, but that's the thing, you don't have to. Clearly, I have much more than what you actually need. With about 120,000 credits, you could have unlocked all 6 weapons right away, with no help from supply drop luck. So let's cut what I have down to a third, the credits and the drops, and that would still be enough to comfortably unlock everything. I say comfortably because I would still have nearly 300 supply drops I can open. That will probably get me a good amount of the items in the new collections, and maybe even a few of the new weapons directly, so I won't have to spend that entire 120k, maybe only half that. But even assuming the slot machine completely screws me over, gives me all duplicates, well then I'd get a decent amount of credits from that, at least another 50,000 or so from all those dupes. And in this scenario, I already had the 120k to purchase everything directly, no matter what. So that seems fair, and cutting my playtime down to a third, now we're talking 6.5 hours per week. If you want to be someone who has more than enough saved up to unlock all the new content as soon as it drops, every time, that doesn't sound that demanding. And cutting what I have down to a third also includes cutting things like the payroll, the HQ time, the orders and contracts. So if you log on for 2 hours 3 times a week, do the orders and contracts for that day, and you don't spend your credits on random junk, that should be roughly enough. I know there are some issues with the math of cutting everything down to a third. It doesn't work out exactly like that, but as an estimation, I think it's fine. So is 6 hours a week too much to be considered a dedicated COD player who deserves to get everything? This is where opinion comes in, but I don't think so. I don't know why rewarding dedicated players who put in the time grinding is a bad thing, when it isn't that much time. If someone doesn't have that kind of time to play, or if they don't want to play the game that much, that's perfectly fine, but then I don't know why they would also feel entitled to be given everything there is. Call of Duty is a grindy game. It has some RPG elements like that. It isn't CSGO, it isn't Overwatch. Games focused on competition, centered around a perfectly even playing field where everyone has to have access to the same things. As much as I respect that style of game, and I think it is necessary to maintain a competitive environment, COD is largely a more casual arcade experience. When you play the game, it's not just you getting better, it's your character getting better. You level up, you unlock more guns to use. It doesn't make sense when people try to make those comparisons, saying something like, imagine if they released a CSGO weapon and you had to open crates to be able to use it. First of all, World War II weapons are not locked behind crates. Second, yeah, that would be ridiculous, but you know what else would be ridiculous? If in CSGO you had to be level 40 to unlock the AK. They're not the same game. In COD, a level 50 player has more guns than a level 1 player, just like how a Prestige 5 player has more DLC guns than a Prestige 1 player. I don't see the problem with that. It's how this game is built. I will add to that by saying, even if there are weapons that you have to grind for, the playing field should obviously be fair. A level 1 player needs to have a fair shot at killing a level 50 player, just like how someone with no DLC guns shouldn't be getting stomped by someone with all of them. If the DLC guns were all insanely OP, or if you could pay armory credits for extra soldier health or something, I wouldn't be sitting here saying, oh, well, you can grind for it, it's fair. No, that would be a problem. But for the most part, all the DLC guns have been very closely tied to an existing gun in the game, with just a minor change, like a higher fire rate but a smaller mag, or better range but bad recoil. There are exceptions. The Volk was certainly very good when it launched, and the ITRA Burst, people seem to go back and forth arguing if that's OP or not. Like maybe it's OP in the hands of a pro, but not so much otherwise. Anyway, if we're now only talking about 1 or 2 really good weapons in each wave, things that you think all players need to have access to because they're at a disadvantage otherwise, then we're not talking 6 hours a week anymore, we're talking 1 or 2 hours a week to guarantee that you get those guns right away. This is assuming, though, that you are saving things things up in between events. You can't be spending credits on random junk. But if we're getting down to 1 hour a week, I hope you can see where I'm coming from, where I just don't understand these complaints. If someone can't even play for 1 or 2 hours a week on average, I don't know why they even care about the DLC weapons. Clearly, they're not that into the game. And again, that's fine, but then I don't know where that sense of entitlement comes from. I thought the best loot system was play the game to earn the content, as opposed to pay additional money to get the content. I consider this game to be play to earn, because let's be honest, the supply drops are not good. You could drop $100 on supply drops and maybe not even get one weapon. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because it seems like people can't agree on that. Maybe it's good because they're encouraging you to play the game to earn the content. It's not like your two options are grind for 100 hours or pay us $10 and we'll give you the hookup. Actually, this game is more like grind for 10 hours or pay us $100 and we'll maybe give you something. I thought that was a good thing. But of course, then there are people complaining when they buy COD points for some reason and are like, wow, I didn't get anything I wanted. This system sucks. I guess that is the daily struggle of the World War II subreddit. Then when it comes time to think of solutions to this problem, how would people improve the system? The number one thing that gets spammed again and again is give people who bought the season pass the base variants of the guns. Now I'd be fine with that, I do own the season pass, but I don't know why people want that so badly. I know it was a thing in Infinite Warfare, but I think it made more sense for that game because of how they had stat-changing variants. I don't think it's necessary in this game. Why not reward the people who play, not the people who pay? Because as we went over, I don't think the grind is as extreme as people make it out to be. Imagine if Sledgehammer had been doing the free base variant for season pass holders thing all along. Wouldn't there be complaining right now? Like, wow, scumbag Sledgehammer makes the supply drop suck so much that they're forcing you to drop another $60 on the season pass to get the weapons. And yet that's what people are asking for. Like, obviously if the two options were loot crates or buying weapons directly, then buying weapons directly is clearly better. None of that gambling slot machine nonsense. But I would think playing to earn everything is much better than both of those. While I'm repeating myself at this point, I should mention where all of this came from. I didn't want to lead with it because I wanted to get right into my point, but without context, it must sound like I'm arguing with nobody here. This whole thing really peaked when there was a very big Reddit post, top 5 in the last month, with a picture of a Nero tweet. I don't want to start a war here, but I am going to bring him into this, seeing as how he's become a figurehead of this issue. So breaking things down, we've got a dramatic statement, an argument premise, and conclusion. Now, I agree with the conclusion. We're on the same team. Screw slot machines, down with loot boxes. If things were locked behind them, I would agree, but they're not. And I explained why they're not. The grind for unlocking them directly is not outrageous. So this is perpetuating the same thing that is now echoed by so many people, locked behind a slot machine, when they aren't. I found a few of the comments on the thread interesting, not the circle jerky ones at the top. Scrolling to the bottom is where you'll find the actual debate. This guy dared to say that earning them with armory credits wasn't that bad, and the upvoted reply is someone saying, the issue is guns locked behind a paywall. You either pay or waste a ton of time to maybe unlock it. Wow, that is going to take some unpacking. First of all, guns are not locked behind a paywall. Paying money will probably not get you anything, because as we all know, supply drop gambling is a dumb idea. Then he says you either pay or waste a ton of time. Well, right now you can't pay directly to get them, although one big solution people are suggesting is to put the weapons behind a season pass paywall, which I find strange. You either pay or waste a ton of time. Waste time? Dude, if you don't want to play the game, why do you even care about the weapons? And finally, to maybe unlock it. No, if you put in the time, you will definitely unlock it. There is no maybe. Because of the collections, you don't need to rely on luck. Then the other guy says, well, it wasn't an issue for him, and the next reply is, of course, the common follow-up dismissal. Well, not everyone has that kind of time to earn them, and I know that is true, but all it takes is a little saving up, and it isn't that much time. A few hours a week isn't much, and if you don't want to play the game, I don't know why you think you're entitled to get everything. Here's another guy whose overall message was, it isn't that bad, here's how to earn enough credits. The reply laughs at his idea of 3 to 4 payrolls a day. He says he gets, like, 2 once a week. The system is designed for spending ungodly amounts of hours or money. Dude, you get payroll twice a week? Is spending any more time than that in the game ungodly to you? Really? Well, we agree on one thing, if you try to go the route of spending money on drops, it is ridiculously overpriced. but I think that's fine because it encourages playing, not paying. I won't spend any more time in the Reddit though. I feel like I'm back in that War XP was not nerfed video. I'll just say, we should all want the same thing here. A good game with a fair item system. So I don't know where all this is coming from. For someone to play the game a fair amount and not have enough for the weapons, they would have to be ignoring the orders and payroll or spending credits on random collections. You gotta save up a little bit if you want the privilege of getting everything as soon as it drops. So that's the big post about it, and Nero did make 2 videos on the topic so far, and I was disappointed to hear that they both revolve around this faulty premise of needing to rely on RNG to get the new weapons, which isn't true.
Like the Arasaka is added to the game and is locked behind a supply drop.
Except it isn't. It's right here.
That's incredibly frustrating, right? Because it doesn't matter how much you play this game.
Really, it doesn't matter how much you play.
Are you sure about that?
None of that matters when we're talking about supply drops, which is why this is so incredibly frustrating.
It would be incredibly frustrating if things were locked behind luck, but they are not.
I want that new content, and there's nothing I can do to obtain it. I do everything I can within my power to get these guns, and I don't get them. That is a huge slap in the face.
Everything within your power. You'll have to excuse me, but I find that hard to believe, given that I also did that, and things worked out a little differently by a factor of 15. He then also talks about the bait and switch type thing, how there were weapon orders for the new weapons back in Winter Siege, and now there are only the weekly 1-weapon contracts. And yeah, I agree, I think it would be better if the orders came back, but you're still ignoring the fact that collections exist.
Or weapons that are locked behind a slot machine.
They're not. I'm editing these clips for comedic effect, but I assure you I'm not changing the meaning by removing the context. Feel free to watch the videos, I've linked them below, and you'll find that nowhere in either video are the collections even mentioned or alluded to. You know, the way that you can get the weapons without relying on luck. I guess pointing those out would weaken the argument. I try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but that just comes across as blatant misinformation to me. The second video covers a Sledgehammer response to a guy that said, "Hey, it's not that bad, go easy on them." And it's more of the same thing.
People are fed up with being forced to rely on supply drop RNG to obtain new guns.
That's not true.
Or go back to the old way of doing things, where we had those daily weapon orders available at Major Howard.
Yeah, I did like the special weapon orders, and I would gladly welcome those back.
And that DLC weapons are pretty easily obtained if you just grind for them. Now, the second part of that post I wholeheartedly disagree with.
Well, I double disagree, which cancels out to agree with the original guy. It isn't that bad.
We are grinding, but we're not getting anything in return.
What? How? You earn credits, you buy guns. It's pretty simple.
Because we're reliant on luck to obtain the new guns.
Ah, we've been over this.
So at least with the old order system, which definitely needed updating, we had a direct avenue to obtain the new weapons as they came out.
You still do.
Whereas this new system has us completely reliant on supply drop luck and weekly contracts.
And collections.
Which, let's be honest here, weekly contracts are a slap in the face.
Yeah, they have been pretty bad, but you're missing the point here. The collections are a thing. Why are they not mentioned at all? Alright, I will move on. I've been mentioning the things I would change throughout the video, but I'll summarize all of it here. The one thing I do not like are the limited time weapon collections. There's really no reason for that. People who buy the game today should still have a direct path to the Volk, for example. As I said earlier, maybe make it easier to unlock a weapon collection during an event to reward the people who were there for it with the bribe drops or whatever. Then make it harder, but still always possible after the event. Maybe you can select from a list of contracts to start any of them at any time, but they all cost 20k credits each or whatever. Or bring back the weapon special orders, let people take an order for any weapon of their choice, but make it a much bigger grind if it's after the event. Even if that means 100 rifle headshots or something, you still have to put some work into it, but it's a guaranteed path to a weapon you want. The limited time stuff is what I would change. Also, better master prestige rewards is something many people are talking about. That could be tied into this. We're already collecting these useless unlock tokens. If we could spend 50 of those on a new variant or something, that would be cool to add yet another guaranteed avenue to get weapons that would still require quite a bit of grinding. So as we wrap things up here, you might want to ask, why do I care at all about any of this? Other than the fact that I love making videos where I get to be a douchebag with an unpopular opinion. Well, I'm not gatekeeping the DLC weapons, if that's what it sounds like. If they want to make weapons easier to earn, go for it. If they want to give base variants to season pass holders, sure, whatever. I'm not here to be the ruiner of fun. My frustration stems from the misinformation in saying things are locked behind RNG. It comes back to what I was saying about giving critique and praise. Giving credit credit where credit is due. World War II has been a messy game in many ways, lots of things deserving criticism, but honestly, the supply drop system has not been very intrusive. People love to make fun of the dumb pistol grips and how bad they were. Isn't that good? If the supply drops are pointless and irrelevant, the new weapons have all been available to earn directly some other way, although that could be better, but they're also well balanced for the most part, so it isn't a big deal. You don't have to have all of them, and everything else in there is cosmetic only, no stat changing variants or any of that. So I don't like seeing them catch this much crap for it, with people comparing this system to the one in Black Ops 3 saying they're basically the same. I think it's dangerous to conflate those two systems, because what if they take that in the opposite way and say, wow, I thought we provided a pretty good system for players to earn new content, but they all said it was terrible and just wanted to buy the guns with the season pass. I guess next time we'll just sell them the weapons then. And call me crazy, but I don't think that's better. Well, I'm going to stop talking now. Feel free to let me know what you think, if you agree that the system isn't perfect, but is pretty fair and rewards playing the game, or if you still disagree, it's too hard, and I'm just a total prick and nothing I said made sense. Go for it. To give some parting words, I can honestly say that the way @Sledgehammer Games is handling post-launch weapons is fueling my motivation to play #CoD World War II. It's 2018, and they are making you play the game to earn the new weapons. It's insulting to the people who want pay to win, and a slap in the face to entitled whiners. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.